Kog'Maw, we saw Jinx in the LPL last night. We've seen everything from Twitch to Lucian to Sivir. There's a lot of options, and very excited to see how it plays out.
We're not living in the world of Jhin and Varus all day, every day anymore.
Nope.
So we are into picks and bans to kick this one off. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Liquid going to be banning Shen and Malzahar away to start off with. Graves taken off the table by TSM.
And generally speaking, there's a lot of flexibility in pick ban now. We've even moved more away from the second round bans as Lucian gets taken away from DoubleLift.
That was it goes back to the video. My pocket pick is Lucian. They're like, no,
they watched it.
Keep your pockets to yourself.
There you go. But, I mean, generally speaking, even if people don't match picks, they don't always attack just one position and try to ban that out, because so many players are developing a big enough champion pool that it's more about banning out counter matchups or attacking perhaps one specific player, not necessarily a position. At least that has been what it has been trending towards in 7.5, in 7.4.
Well, TSM is definitely attracting some aggro onto their top laner in the banning phase at the start. Rumble and Shen both going to be removed.
One thing I would point out is Camille's still up. Hauntzer has been playing it a lot, but it is TL's first pick, and Lourlo has shown that he will play this pick as well. So Camille is going to be taken off the table. I think that's a smart ban from TSM, given that Lourlo would play this, and it's very unlikely Hauntzer would get to see it in the second round.
Well, TSM recognizing that, getting rid of it, but that means they leave Lulu up, and she has been on such a surge of popularity lately.
Yeah, Lulu has been absolutely massive. I just think that it works extremely well. It has relatively, does fine in lane, and has so much utility throughout the course of the game that you can run a lot of these support the AD carry type compositions, which is exactly the kind of thing that I think DoubleLift is going to want to play.
Yeah, they want to make sure that they enable DoubleLift as much as they can this game. Lulu's a fantastic champion for that. TSM now going to be locking in Hauntzer as the first pick, and Rengar as not Hauntzer as the first pick. Hauntzer locking in the Nautilus. There we go. And Rengar locked in for Sven.
Yeah, so some pretty powerful jungle picks, and Kha'Zix's still available here for ReignOver. He can obviously go back towards some of the more tanky, supportive type junglers that he likes to play as well. But I don't think there's any big rush for them to pick out the jungle, because ReignOver, he has a lot of options, and I wouldn't be surprised to see something like an early AD carry for DoubleLift. I think if you can secure yourself a very strong lane, perhaps Caitlyn, Lulu, or something along those lines that's going to match up well, it could be pretty powerful. Zilean would be interesting as far as running that sort of protect the AD type composition, but picking Zilean this early would be very surprising, simply because it's not like it's going to get picked away. It's not going to get banned, so it wouldn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, Zilean always a little bit questionable that early, but now they're going back towards the Ezreal. That's going to be locked in for DoubleLift, as well as the Gragas also picked up in this round.
Yeah, so as expected, grabbing the AD carry here early on for DoubleLift, and we're not going to have parity in the picks. Obviously, the Gragas can be flexed to top lane, so that can be top or jungle. But either way, we have support and AD carry for Team Liquid. So TSM is going to have a divergence here. They have to decide which role they think is the most attackable, pick that up now, and then try to target their opponents in the next round. And they're saying that they're confident with this Karma pick that Turtle can play whatever is left up.
Okay, that means that they are going to leave that AD carry position vulnerable going into the second part of the banning phase. Cassiopeia going to be the first one removed from the table by TSM.
And I think they're right. There's no real reason that you have to grab a specific AD carry here, because there's still so many up on the table. I think, for DoubleLift, they're trying to play a more lane dominant style, whereas Turtle, the style that they have played with TSM has never been super lane focused. It's been more about going even in lane, getting through lane, and then performing in team fights, because TSM has always been more about the solo laners, been more about Hauntzer, Bjergsen, and that kind of jungle trio.
Well, they are going to attack the AD carry position from the side of Team Liquid, just like we're expecting. Caitlyn, the first ban from these guys here in Phase 2. TSM's got one more to go, and it looks like they're going to take Orianna off the table. So double mid lane bans from TSM. Liquid now deciding what they want to do for their final one.
I do like the takeaway of Orianna, not only because it's a pretty safe blind pick, and you're going to have the last pick for Bjergsen very likely in this draft, but also because Orianna plus Lulu plus a strong AD carry is extremely powerful. One of the ways that Team Liquid could potentially win is from DoubleLift taking over, and taking away that pick means he's going to have less safety and less ability to carry, even if he does have a good laning phase.
TSM now thinking about that Ashe as we get into the last couple of picks this game, enabling different initiation opportunities, the arrows from across the map. Sometimes you can just get those crazy ones that set up some kind of an awesome play. And it looks like that is the choice for WildTurtle this game.
And Ashe does work very well with the composition they've drafted so far. You have Rengar, you have Nautilus, you have Ashe. There's so much pick potential there. You hit an arrow, you can follow that up with CC very easily, or vice versa. The Karma synergizes well with the frontliners as far as giving that Rengar speed ups for the ultimate and shooting the Nautilus in there too. So I think this is a pretty intelligent, very standard draft so far. This is going to mean we're going to see Gragas flex the top lane unless something super crazy is coming up from Lourlo.
Yeah.
Olaf top has been played a little bit here and there. It's extremely powerful early, but I'm certainly not expecting it to be the case this game. I do think we're going to see that top lane. Taliyah, wow.
Taliyah locked in for Piglet. This is going to be a fun one, Azael. We get to see the Gragas flex top. We get to see the Taliyah pick. Team Liquid has decided that they're just going to go ahead and go a little bit crazy here in week number 9.
This is pretty exciting because Bjergsen has the opportunity to go for something aggressive like an assassin. Taliyah traditionally has struggled against a lot of assassins, and we are going to see the Ahri coming in. Certainly some outplay potential here for Bjergsen. You can dodge a lot of the skill shots here from Taliyah, and if you can get up in her face, she can really struggle.
Yeah, Taliyah, like everybody's seen the YouTube videos where she one-shots people with a seismic shove and things like that, but the problem is you walk out of that, she's very vulnerable. And Ahri with 3 separate dashes, she's got some ways to walk around it.
That said, if you're dashing over that work ground, you are going to proc that and you are going to take damage from that, so you will be having to be careful.
Teams are finalized and locked in here for game 1. 2 very tanky AP-style top laners. So probably going to see some Spectre's Cal slap each other and do no damage type of action up there. But 2 different junglers, 2 different philosophies in the jungle between an Olaf and a Rengar too. Olaf, very adept at farming quickly, controlling zones, a strong duelist. Rengar, once he hits level 6, it's all about making those ganks work.
Yeah, and I think really when you look at the composition here from TSM, so much of it is reliant on getting picks. I think that in a lot of the straight up kind of organized 5v5 type team fights, it can be tougher for a team like TSM is running to actually find success against a double frontline composition. Because if you go frontline versus frontline, the Ahri is going to have less success. The Rengar is going to have less success. So they need to find the right picks, look for good positioning, look for flanks, and see if they can kind of get it through that.
Right, and they've got the Ashe arrow to try to help them set those kinds of things up. I mean, both AD carries have a global ultimate. The problem is DoubleLift doesn't actually provide any sort of CC, so you're not really going to be starting anything off with that one, but we can't forget the supports in this conversation either. A lot of shielding, a lot of speed, a lot of utility coming out from both supports this game.
They certainly are, and I don't think that either lane is really like particularly lane dominant. Ashe is known for having a pretty strong laning phase, and I do favor Karma over the Lulu as far as the actual laning power. But that said, if you can hit Qs on Ezreal, if you hit enough of those, you always have a chance. And it's actually looking like TL is trying to set up something a little bit cheesy here. They've moved Taliyah down to the bot side, and they are going to do a bush camp. We'll see how long Piglet wants to wait around, but there's low cost to this, right?
Right.
You send your mid laner down, you wait in the bush, you see if anyone face checks, and then if no one comes, he bases, he goes mid.
You just go back, there's not really any kind of a problem, but you were setting up the cheese just in case. Meanwhile, ReignOver and Lourlo pinging into the enemy jungle, just moving up a little bit here to keep an eye on Svenskeren. Make sure that he's starting those Raptors as everybody likes to start these days.
Yeah, TSM is always going to play relatively safe, I think, even when there's just an Olaf on the team. Olaf kind of has that famous level 1 where you're so powerful, if you hit one axe, you often force a summoner. And we had seen a lot of people playing that style, ReignOver last year and stuff, kind of famous for going bot lane with the Olaf, walking into a bush, and trying to catch someone face checking, because you can force summoners out like that. So TSM plays safe, nothing results.
Yep, TSM does not want to risk that early. Remember, going into this game, 2 very different fates for these teams right now.
Okay, now one thing to track here is we've been seeing more and more players actually trying to steal away one of the little wraiths here, and this is what Piglet is looking to do. He just wants to try to steal a single mini wraith and delay the level 2, but Bjergsen being over there is going to zone him off. Assure Sven gets that early level 2 and is going to have faster clear because of it.
Good teamwork from Bjergsen, making sure that that level 2 does not get delayed at all, as the war has already begun down here in bot lane. Support's both going to be eating biscuits, trying to stay healthy as the poke flies back and forth. DoubleLift getting that long-range Mystic shot onto WildTurtle.
And TL getting the shove. Getting that early shove meant that TSM has to back off. They have to play it a little bit further back. And, you know, DoubleLift already hitting the first couple Mystic shots. the more consistent you are with those, the more powerful your lane is. Because in the ideal world, you're essentially only using your spells for poke, and you're using only autos to last the minions on Ezreal.
Piglet also performing some good trades here on Bjergsen early, but we already talked about this matchup a little bit. It's all about once Ahri actually unlocks the ultimate, once she has the potential to go in on Taliyah, that's when things are going to be different. But one thing that is very different right now, 11-2 farm in the bottom lane. DoubleLift saying, hey, Turtle, welcome to my lane.
Yeah, I mean, they're zoning them off a lot of the CS under the turret, too. So Turtle actually doesn't get to pick up too much of that. Obviously, for CS, even though it's percentage-wise a big lead, it's not going to be the end of the world at this point if this lane can stabilize. And both supports have taken a fair amount of damage. One of the most important things to track in situations like this is actually not even so much their health, but how many biscuits they have remaining. And they're both sitting on only 1 biscuit on the support roles right now. WildTurtle is going to have a ton of sustain, so it's actually better to target Biofrost in this situation because Turtle has gone for a 3-pot start.
Yeah, he's got a lot of extra regeneration should they decide to pour those resources into him. Biofrost and Matt, both currently a little bit injured. We'll have to see how this lane continues to play out. Turtle, of course, bandaging up a lot of that CS problem now that he was able to farm underneath the turret. So not quite as bad as things initially looked, but he's got a lot to prove this game.
Yeah, he certainly does. And DoubleLift didn't try to actually push the pace and try to poke him off some of that CS. He took the time to ward out that bot side and protect himself from any incoming ganks because, as we all know, it's rarely actually just a straight-up fair 2v2.
Yeah.
The game is very much so about playing around your team, playing around teleports, and playing around the enemy jungler.
Bit of a scrap between the top laners here. Both these guys are going to get very tanky eventually, but early on there's always the possibility for a jungler to maybe show up, grab a cheesy kill. But ReignOver is actually going to be showing up mid lane. The seismic shove doesn't find its mark, so Bjergsen can kind of just casually walk away.
Yeah, I mean, and that's Ghost expended for ReignOver. Usually what you're trying to do is trade out that Ghost for Flash because that is a longer summoner, but ReignOver now kind of caught on the wrong side of things. We'll see if he can win this fight.
All right, here we go. 1v1. Rengar versus Olaf. Flash going to be used. Svenskeren right back into the fight. First blood cuts him down. ReignOver grabbing that kill. Piglet now looking to find the damage onto Bjergsen. Not going to get it today, but it's 1-0 Team Liquid.
Yeah, great start there for ReignOver. Picks up a pretty easy kill, and when you hit all your axes, especially those short range ones, you can constantly pick back up the axe, throw out those undertows, and ReignOver very strong in these early stages. If Olaf gets going, he can take over a game, especially now that Bjergsen is down his flash too. That's going to be a great gank opportunity.
You just can't try to flex your muscles against Olaf like that. Yeah. This is the flex
He's
king
buff,
in the early game.
Olaf.
Yeah, the dude's jacked. Like, let's go.
Yeah, this guy's a frat bro. He's been pumping iron, he's drinking beers, but
yeah, dude.
You just pick up the undertow over and over. Something that's actually key here from ReignOver is that the first 2 axes, he doesn't actually throw max range. If you throw the max range axe, then you have to run further to pick it up. You can actually throw it the minimum distance required to hit your opponent, and in any duel, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to shortchange it so you can instantly throw it, pick it right back up, and continuously throw it. So well played there from ReignOver.
Back in the old days of Olaf, where he could actually just throw it at his feet and have it spawn right on top of him. Anybody who played back then remembers the fun of trying to duel that Olaf.
And this is like a pretty aggressive set of masteries from ReignOver. He is actually running Fervor of Battle, so he is going to have some more offensive power. This is not like a Grasp or a Bond of Stone. We've even seen Storm Raiders. Ever since some of the masteries got changed around for junglers, we've seen a plethora of different choices on Olaf, and this is about as aggressive as you can get.
Speaking of aggressive, Biofrost is smacking Matt around a little bit down here. Fan vote right now, 73% of the fans with their TSM chance believing the team has got what it takes to walk away with the win.
So is ReignOver, though. There's going to be a fight.
Junglers going to be showing up. 3 versus 3. Here we go. Matt's going to be killed instantly. Right back into the fight. ReignOver's looking to go deeper, deeper, deeper. Still, there comes that swing, and he's got the damage. Biofrost going to take it down. Svenskeren is number 3. A double kill for DoubleLift.
That is so big. Already up in the farm. TL off to a great start here against TSM. It's got to feel good for DoubleLift. He's in a position where he can carry.
27% of the fans think Liquid can win, and they're like, you know what? 27's fine. We're going to do it anyway. 4-1 start. 2,000 gold lead. Now Hauntzer and Bjergsen trying to make the moves onto Piglet. Going to be juggled around and bopped down. Bjergsen grabbing the kill.
That is the TSM classic. Hauntzer so good at making these early roams to mid lane. Gets down there. No chance for Piglet to escape without summoners. They set that up very, very well, and now Hauntzer just trying to get zoned off, basically. Some of the CS allow himself to deny that away, but Svenskeren is going to be close to level 6, and Lourlo needs to be careful that he's not fighting off more than he can chew.
Yeah, Lourlo's getting into this fight with Hauntzer, and I mean, it's a good 1v1, but it's not going to stay 1v1 for long. Svenskeren shows up and Lourlo gets out, but that was a little risky.
Yeah, it certainly can be. And here is the fight once more, and so much of this is down to the fact that the Olaf is very, very strong. Matt is going to go down pretty early, but it doesn't really matter. He's already got his full spell combo off, and the level 6, having that ultimate, so huge for ReignOver, allowing him to get in there and get that kill. If he was not level 6, if First Blood had gone the other way, this is a lost fight for TL, so this is really showing how big of a difference that made.
They were really playing around their power windows. They did what needed to be done, and they knew that they could pull it off. That's the confidence that you got to have if you want to make those kind of plays.
And that's always been what people talk about with ReignOver, is that he's such a smart jungler. He's in the right place at the right time, and right there, he knows that there's an opportunity for a counter gank or perhaps pulling off his own gank, and he goes for it, and he's able to make it work.
I mean, he's 2-0-2. His Righteous Glory is done 8.5 minutes into the game, Azael. He's got this insane movement speed burst now. If he's coming at you, you better run all the way away.
And that is actually so hard for a champion like Ashe to deal with in the early game, because Ashe just doesn't have any sort of move buff.
Oh, here he goes again. ReignOver trying to make the plays. Look at the damage, the undertows. There's no way away. ReignOver with a killing spree.
Yeah, Ashe actually can't do anything until you get later in the game and you get some more stats or you have your summoners up. But Svenskeren trying to make it happen around mid lane. A lot of focus here on Piglet. Already a really tough matchup for him against Bjergsen, and now he's getting the brunt of the aggression from TSM. You can see Hauntzer moving down towards mid again, too.
First turret blood likely going to be going the way of Liquid here. They want to give that solo gold to DoubleLift, as ReignOver and Matt will be trying to take the first Drake simultaneously. DoubleLift letting this turret eat as many minions as possible. There's the last auto attack. There's turret first blood. There's the Earth Drake. Everything is showing up Team Liquid right now.
And if we actually check in on the gold between Ezreal and the Ashe at this point, with the early kills, the solo gold on that first turret, he's going to be comically far ahead. Like almost 2,000 gold ahead for an individual lead 9 minutes into the game is disgusting.
That's not what you want if you're TSM.
Especially when Ezreal is one of those champions that has the ability to like almost 1v9. You're so mobile, you can be extremely aggressive when you are far ahead and have the protection of someone like a Lulu plus a beefy front.
He's a montage champ. You can create some really cool looking montages if you're a fed Ezreal.
There you go.
And right now, DoubleLift with a nearly 2,000 gold lead, up almost 20 CS. Man, he's in a great spot to be able to do that.
Plus, there's no turret, so there's not really any safety now for Turtle and Biofrost. And when you're that far behind and you don't have the safety of your turret, you can always look for those fights. But that said, you still do have to respect the potential of the Ashe ultimate no matter how far behind you are. You can set up Rengar for ultimates, you can look for TP plays, and you can shut that Ezreal down.
That's part of why the Ashe pick is so valuable, right? Even if you get shut down in lane, even if things aren't going your way.
That's why it's the key special.
That's why it's
things don't often go his way, Flowers.
Nowhere is safe. Well, we'll have to see if WildTurtle can dial it in, if he can actually contribute to this game being as far behind as he is. He's got his work cut out for him. BF Sword and Longsword versus the Mana Moon and the Sheen. Like, sometimes Ezreal starts off a little bit slow. You got to get the tier, you got to get the Sheen. You're not exactly building a lot of damage early on, but when you're this far ahead, it's not really a problem.
Yeah, I mean, he got the double kill when he was sitting on Tier Cult. And Tier Cull is the super ideal early game kind of greedy type buy that you can pull off. And if you can have success when you're on those items, it sets you up extremely well for the later stages in the game because you're going to have that gold injection. And once again, this triumvirate of the TSM top side looking to make a play. Lourlo could be a bit tough to dive, but they are going to try to pull it off.
Lourlo getting himself away. Meanwhile, ReignOver
Righteous
Glory, and it is going to be a righteous dive. There
TP
comes
coming
the
in from
Wild
Hauntzer, though.
TP going to be used. Hauntzer trying to show up, cancels it now. Liquid not finding their kill, but now they've got 3 men onto the bottom lane, tier 2. Turtle's very low. Got to be careful about trying to defend this one. DoubleLift, Matt, and ReignOver pouring a lot of damage into this. Biofrost and Turtle going to be jumped on. See you later. DoubleLift grabbing a killing spree. No way Biofrost can save him there. Team Liquid punishes TSM, but now are they going to have the favor returned? Hauntzer still trying to fight Lourlo there on the top side. Sven going to grab the kill onto Matt. Piglet's trying to show up in time to grab some kind of a cleanup kill. It's going to be low health bars on TSM, but deleted players on the side of Liquid. ReignOver and Matt both in the ground.
Yeah, and so critical. Hauntzer stopping Lourlo's TP from top lane there allows TSM to go aggressive, clean up some of those kills, but it's easy pickings on WildTurtle right now for ReignOver. ReignOver has been taking over this game. As I said, if you don't have your flash, you cannot live against that Olaf at this point in the game. He flashes the initial Righteous Glory, then they just dive in on him and take him out.
Piglet flashing forward aggressively, looking for the kill onto Bjergsen. Bjergsen with no ulti, no flash, and Piglet can actually land these abilities.
Yeah.
Nope, not enough mana. Can't chase it down.
Both of Piglet's flashes, there's been almost no way he was actually going to get the kill. And, you know, the previous one in mid lane, Bjergsen was behind minions, so the threaded volley was never going to work. This time, Bjergsen was already far enough away. And wasting that flash means he's just going to be targeted even more. But this is the play again. The flash onto Ashe was already forced, and that's why they can go for this, because ReignOver already forced that summoner cooldown. And then up on top side, they want to fight this. So Lourlo backs off, looks for the TP, but you're right in front of a Nautilus. You need to walk out of vision. You need to do something to actually try to get that off more. Because if the Gragas had come in here, Hauntzer had no TP, and this could have been a slaughter for TL. That could have been, you know, nail in the coffin. But TSM getting those kills back. Bjergsen very strong, and we all know that he has the ability to take over games.
Yeah, right now you've got a 3-0 and 2 Ezreal, but you've also got a 2-0 and 1 Ahri that's going to be gunning for him. They've got to keep DoubleLift safe.
And they do have set up for the Ahri, right? Hauntzer comes in, presses his ultimate. That's a point-and-click stun. You hit the stun, you charm out of that, and it's tough to live through that kind of conduct.
Very much so, especially when either of those champions can also be hasted up by the Karma. There's a lot of tools that TSM has at their disposal to try to shut down DoubleLift, but if there's anybody who can make some kind of a 1v5 miracle happen by outplaying his opponents, DoubleLift's one of the guys on the list.
I certainly can, and he's up a couple, he was up 2 levels, he's up about a level and a half now, and they're going to try to look to force around mid lane, try to take some turrets, try to extend their advantage into the other lanes. We'll see what they can actually get from this, because Ahri actually has quite good wave clear. And they're not even going to really attempt it. Now, I don't know if they're trying to set up a Rift Herald or look for topside, but for now, they're just going to get some vision and see if they can be able to move back and forth between lanes and create some sort of advantage there.
They want to keep snowballing this as much as possible, especially with their Olaf going for the Righteous Glory build. We see a lot of different approaches to Olaf sometimes, and Righteous Glory is the win early, win mid type item, but it doesn't give a lot of resist. It's not a true tank item. So if Team Liquid's not able to really press this advantage, ReignOver's going to find himself a little bit squishier than he'd like.
Certainly could, and they're looking for DoubleLift. The ultimate's up for both the Rengar and Nautilus. I don't think there's any way he gets out of this.
Matt trying to close the distance. Wildgrowth's going to be popped, but DoubleLift is shut down. Svenskeren now escaping from ReignOver, almost able to find the damage 1-for-1. Piglet, threaded volley goes the wrong way, and he's going to be going down. It's 2 for 2.
Bloody fight there. TL, they do get the kill onto DoubleLift, but they trade a couple back. Still looking pretty strong. Dragon is about to spawn, and TSM could run straight down there for it, but they don't have their jungler.
1,000 gold is all that separates these teams. Azael, TSM, they were behind early, but they've closed that gold gap down. Liquid has not been able to make more of those run away with it types of plays, and this game could go either way. There's your gold difference at 15 for both of these 80 carry players. DoubleLift averaging -400, WildTurtle averaging -21. But DoubleLift is definitely not -400 today.
No, not even close. He's doing very well. And it tends to happen. They usually are down on gold when your team never wins, which can be a little bit tough.
That's a hard life.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a hard life. You know, one of the concerns here for TL, though, is so much of their power is actually on this Olaf right now. And Olaf, while I think he's exceptionally strong because he has very high base damage and, you know, he can build very tanky and he can run over people in the early game, if the game does not extend, it does not blow wide open, you start to be less and less effective. It's harder to actually use this gold to be really, really powerful.
Team Liquid are in a spot where they are still capable of making active decisions, where they're still capable of deciding the pace and momentum of this game, but they got to be careful. Here's a replay of what happened top.
And there's almost no outplaying this when you have the Nautilus ultimate to come in. DoubleLift does make the smart move, going towards Matt. He actually didn't use his heal there, which I certainly think is a mistake because he was closer than I thought he would be. He may have just thought his fate was sealed and didn't want to press it, but I think it's worth using the heal there because if you can survive and turn that around, it would have been pretty big.
Would have been absolutely massive. But sadly for him, he does find his first death of the game. Still working on those Trinity Force components too, so that's going to be a nice power spike once he does find it. Lourlo and Hauntzer into that top lane wet noodle fight that we all love so much between those big super tanks. Svenskeren and Bjergsen moving their way through the river. Remember, Mountain Drake is live. One so far under Team Liquid's belt. They'd like to get a second one because that does enable a lot of different possibilities for those objectives as the game goes on.
And the question becomes, do they have the confidence to actually fight for this? Because it's being started up. There's no TP on Lourlo, so I think they essentially just have to give it up. Trying to go for anything other than a steal would just be insanely risky, but even that I think would be pretty silly.
True Shot Barrage not even going to be fired off. They just decided to yield this one to TSM. We're going to be 1-1 in terms of Earth Drake count so far. Next one's going to be Ocean, so no more objective control power coming up, at least for now. DoubleLift continuing to farm in the bottom side, maintaining that same lead that he's had over Turtle in terms of the farm this entire game.
Yep, and he is doing well with that. I think the Trinity Force power spike is a good call out from you because I do feel like that is going to be the strongest that he is relative to his opponents probably this game. When he first completes the Trinity Force and he gets that conversion into the Muramana, which he's relatively close to doing, he's 640, he's 100 or so more stacks. So when he first hits that, he's going to be so powerful, and he should hit that around the 20-minute mark or so. And they really can look to try to go for some fights because I don't think it really gets better than that for TL and for DoubleLift.
Yeah, WildTurtle still kind of fumbling around with just the pieces, the components as well. Not going to be nearly as much of a threat in these fights as DoubleLift will. So they want to find some kind of a fight if they can in that window. But
exactly,
it's kind of hard. TSM's playing it safe.
It can be really tough. But, ReignOver is sitting on a couple items, and I think Gragas has high effectiveness early on. So a lot of their champions, I think, are already pretty well online. And it would be good for them if they can get something done, because if DoubleLift is the only true threat, there's enough single target lockdown from TSM to always kind of try to push towards him. That said, you still do have to get through the front line of TL.
Which can be difficult if Lourlo and ReignOver can get to the point where they are that massive just wall that's so impenetrable. I mean, you've got a Gragas, you've got a body slam. It overrides pretty much every other movement ability in the game. You can stop people, you can lock them down, put distance between DoubleLift and everybody else with the explosive cast.
And Gragas does have a lot of playmaking ability, similar to how I always think of Poppy as a top lane tank. The ultimate can turn things around, right? Like it's hard to place a value on this ultimate because splitting up a fight or knocking in a carry and getting them killed out can be worth so much more than the implied value of that ability.
Right, it might do 300 damage or whatever, but that's not really the point. We're just looking to disrupt the team fight, cause that chaos that makes it hard for the enemy to play the game they want to play. As Liquid is still trying to get something here in mid lane. They've got a 1-0 turret advantage. They got the turret first blood a while back, but they've just not been able to turn it into anything else. Yeah,
and TSM really has done a good job of solving that out. And I think they played pretty intelligently. When the bot lane went bad, they focused on top side. But once again, down here onto Lourlo, looks like he's probably...
Ooh, that bola!
Yeah, he's out.
Flashing after him, they'll go flash for flash. Lourlo getting away from that one.
Yeah, not bad at all from Lourlo. A trade of flashes when you take down multiple ultimates there is great. And they're actually going to get the turret off that pressure. But they will be trading back topside. We'll see if they can make a play now onto Sven.
Svenskeren forced to flash over the wall to keep himself alive. Piglet collapsing there on towards the enemy blue buff. He and DoubleLift will be stealing this one away. ReignOver making sure nobody else from TSM comes back to try to stop that. Piglet grabbing the blue for himself. Bjergsen shoving up top lane all the way into the tier 2 and then deciding to fall back. Not really anything else you can get as a lone Ahri when Lourlo's heading back.
But having Bjergsen in a side lane, I think, makes quite a bit of sense at this point because he has a couple levels up on his opponent. It's not like Piglet can really match him in an isolated 1v1. Keep getting him the solo experience. Don't have him sharing with Ashe. You move Turtle to mid lane so he can safely farm up and kind of recover some of that loss that he had from the early game. Because Bjergsen can handle the side lane, and Turtle just can't.
I mean, look at the comparison between the two. 40 CS difference, 0-2-0 versus 2-0-2. Bjergsen is up over 1,500 gold. That's really just not a situation that Piglet can have anything to do with and get himself out of in any sort of decent shape. So he's got to find some sort of success wherever he can, get back into the game, do whatever he can to farm up, close that distance, because Bjergsen is significantly ahead.
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising for me to see Piglet bust out the Taliyah because I think this is a champion that has an extremely difficult curve of mastery because there's so much to the champion. It's very skill shot oriented, has these kind of unique ways with the threaded volley and the work ground and all these different mechanics, and even just using the ultimate properly can be tough. Even some of our best mid laners in North America took quite some time before they actually could perform on this champion when it was meta.
Bjergsen clearing out some control wards around the Baron pit here. 22 minutes into the game. Any sort of big team fight, any sort of a wash in one of these big encounters could lead to a Baron take by either side. So both got to keep that in mind as we continue further and further into the mid game. Still only 1,500 gold separating these two teams. Liquid fighting hard to make sure they don't end up in relegations right now.
And you can see Liquid is spending a lot of time grouped up right now. They are moving around as a squad trying to look for any opportunity, but TSM is playing it very patiently. They're confident, I think rightfully so, in the fact that their macro game, their shot calling should be more cohesive. It should be better rounded out.
And that's kind of what you would expect when you're having the #1 team go up against a team that's fighting to get away from relegation.
Yep.
They've got those intangibles. They've got the shot calling. They aren't just mechanically talented players. They work well as a unit.
Exactly, and when you look traditionally at how top teams lose to lower ranked teams, they get into a bloodbath and they fall behind. And if you look at like TSM, their only loss last year against P1, for example, where Nori had his insane Rengar game, right? And they just opted into fights and they lost them and they fell behind and the other team was able to snowball. So they're not doing that this time around.
When good teams underestimate their opponents and just decide to go full Fiesta, and it's like, wait a second, these guys were born in Fiesta. We're just kind of hanging out here. This is not our territory, but TSM not going to be falling prey to that today.
Ooh, DoubleLift looking for the 1v1.
Saying you're an assassin, baby. Bjergsen going to be 1v1, and DoubleLift from the brush. A roll swap. It's the AD carry popping the mid laner.
All right, I'll give you that one, DoubleLift. That was pretty high.
That was smooth.
That takes some balls, opting into the 1v1 against the level 14 Ahri, and they're going to start a Baron with this. They can turn. Remember, they have the Righteous Glory. It's actually on cooldown, but they can still engage very heavily and look for a fight if TSM comes in.
TSM is going in right now. Matt going to be taken very low. Wild Growth onto himself. Piglet going to be forced to flash back. Hauntzer grabbing the kill onto the Lulu. ReignOver forced to retreat. DoubleLift looking to go right back into the fight. Grabbing a kill onto WildTurtle. More damage going to be coming out.
GL's got
lock
this.
him down. TSM, full retreat. Team Liquid, full victory. Double kill for DoubleLift.
I think they can get Hauntzer too. They're chasing for the kills. They could have turned for the Baron, actually trying to clean everyone up.
The late ace for Team Liquid. Bjergsen responds in time. Respawns, I should say.
Bjergsen is actually going to look for a pick here. We'll see if he can stop them.
All he finds is Lourlo. He's going to interrupt the backs, but he will not avenge any of his fallen teammates. A phenomenal fight for Team Liquid.
Yeah, a really big fight for TL, especially with so many of those kills going over to DoubleLift. That said, TSM at least did stop the Baron, so disaster somewhat averted there. But once again, here is the 1v1. DoubleLift, not spotted, hits every skill shot there. Just perfect from him. And then starting up the Baron, very intelligent. They're not looking to finish it. They want to force a fight with TSM's strongest member down. So they're able to draw in their opponents that get out the TP, and then they turn for the fight. And when TSM is not able to get onto DoubleLift, when they're committing to Matt, this is almost always going to be a one fight for TL. Because DoubleLift is so strong, he can go aggressive. Turtle steps forward, he says, yes, I will take that duel. Moves straight in and able to clean it up.
Just weaves that Mystic shot right in to find the kill on the WildTurtle, and after that, mop and bucket out. The cleanup crew is here. Everybody from TSM gets run down. Takes a while to get Hauntzer.
Yeah, it does take a while. They finally clean him up. Not sure if they would have had the opportunity to actually go for Baron there or not. I don't know. I mean, maybe you let Hauntzer run and you try to force the Baron because it was only Bjergsen alive. Hauntzer would have had to base and had no TP. But that's a tough call to make.
Absolutely is. They decided to go for the extra money from getting the kill onto Hauntzer, go for the safer play. And now TSM has the opportunity to take this Ocean Drake, the third Drake spawning this game. We're going to have one more Elemental after this one is down. That will be the final Earth. So one of these two teams is going to have that double Earth bonus after that goes down.
Ooh,
but ReignOver.
Bjergsen, everyone moved up top
Reaper's
side.
Ball is used. Bjergsen trying to get himself away. ReignOver popping the Righteous Glory. Bjergsen's got no more ult. Can he get out? Wild Growth used. He's not going anywhere. ReignOver with a killing spree.
Feels bad. Just could not outlast that ultimate. But hello?
Okay.
Matt?
Lulu died on a turret.
Question mark?
Question mark ping him, boys.
Hit him with the ping.
All right, so it wasn't execute, so he didn't give away a kill to TSM.
Just looking for that fast base.
Fast. Recalling would take 8 seconds. I'm going back on the Express.
All right, well, Svenskeren looking to make the run out of there. I think he might be fine, yeah.
Piglet now the one in trouble. The arrow finds its mark, and Hauntzer's getting the first kill. Now Liquid still trying to get something off the back of this.
They want this fight.
With Piglet gone, they got to be careful to not bite off more than they can chew. Still chasing after Hauntzer. Lourlo leading the way. ReignOver right behind. DoubleLift jumping in, shifting forward for the damage. Won't be able to bring him down.
Not quite able to take him down there, but still getting some chunk down onto Hauntzer. Not bad. He's going to base, so that can allow them to set up vision once again around this Baron. Honestly, at this point, I feel like you should almost be giving the blues over to DoubleLift because he has actually been running out of mana in a number of these fights. And yes, sure, Piglet traditionally would get more out of it, but DoubleLift is so strong, and the fights are going to be about DoubleLift. I think if you're TL, you just feed everything into him. You give double buffs to him, you give that blue buff over to him, and you see what he can get done for you.
You go all in.
Yeah.
That's the strategy at this point.
Especially with the Lulu.
Yeah, he's 6-1-7. He's got a phenomenal support in the Lulu that's able to give him so much extra protection. Look at the build that he's completed 27 minutes into the game. You've got your Mirror Mana fully charged, your Trinity Force, Mercurial Scimitar completed, and Last Whisper, so that he makes sure when he's hitting Hauntzer, it matters.
Yeah. And I mean, it does seem a little bit solo queue to give him the blue buff. They're not going to do it, but I actually do think it would be the right move in this specific situation. Sometimes you need to be willing to kind of pivot away from that.
Yeah.
And just say abandon ship on that mid laner and give it over to the AD.
I mean, Piglet's not been having a phenomenal game so far.
No.
We've seen him have some great games since moving to mid, and we've seen him have some not so great games. And right now, Bjergsen is showcasing exactly how difficult it can be to play against one of the top mid laners in the region after recently making that switch. And your mistakes are going to get punished. That's that much harder. Any misunderstandings you may have about a matchup or timing or power windows, they're all going to be exploited.
Yeah, they certainly are. And TSM looking to fight again.
Oh,
Hauntzer is behind.
Top of the cleanse to get himself away. They're trying to collapse. Hauntzer going to be jumping right there into the fight. Piglet going to be jumped on now. Having to get himself away, being bursted. Svenskeren going to die first. The heal is out. TSM.
ReignOver's killing Turtle.
ReignOver into the back line.
Turtle get everyone
down. A double kill for ReignOver. Oh, baby. Team Liquid has found the clean ace.
They're going to get the inhibitor here. Can march down, take the inhibitor. They may even try for the end.
Are they going to They have 30-second death timer.
They're going to go for it. I think they
Azael.
get it. They just have to tank for the minions.
Team Liquid, they've got 5 people. They've got a minion wave. They're not backing away now. DoubleLift leading the charge. Team Liquid looking to end this game before 30 against North America's #1 team. The Nexus turrets will fall. The respawn timers are too long, and Team Liquid, against expectations, will go up 1-0.
How about that?
How about that?
He said best chance to win. Smash lane, take over the game. And that's exactly what he did.
That was just amazing for Team Liquid. You're going into a game where everybody's saying, oh yeah, you know, it's Team Liquid, they're fighting to get out of relegations. TSM, this is the #1 North American team. You saw the fan vote, 73% of people are like, yeah, TSM, they got this for free. And Liquid's performance off the back of DoubleLift was just...
And so much credit has to go to ReignOver. To me, he was, like, even though DoubleLift is the star in these late game team fights, I think that ReignOver carried this game. I think that his early pathing was fantastic. He picks up the solo first blood. He moves bot lane, gets bot lane rolling. He was even soloing Ashe in the late game team fights. I think his build was smart. His pathing was great. And this was, to me, classic ReignOver at his best. And then, you know, DoubleLift really showcasing what an AD carry can do from ahead.
And, you know, it's something that we also seem to talk about a lot. The star power on Team Liquid. You've got ReignOver, you've got DoubleLift, you've got Piglet, you've got all these players who are known for being so good. A lot of people are surprised that the team is as low in the standings as they are, and this game demonstrated what that star power can do.
Exactly. This is what it was supposed to look like. This is, you know, okay, we bring in the MVP, we bring in another MVP, we bring in a world champion, right?
Yeah.
You have all these stars, and this is what you're hoping for. You're hoping, okay, Piglet has a bad game, but we have other people who can pick up the slack and who can look incredible even in a tough game. And they did here. I think the TSM drafted themselves a comp with a lot of barrier to execution, and TL got ahead and played really well.
Yeah, Liquid played it exactly the way they needed to play it. For a deeper dive into how they played it and that Liquid victory, we're going to go ahead and check in with the analyst.